Welcome to tonight's meeting of the City Property Committee on May 26th. Present this evening in the meeting are Councillors Boschman, Squalia, and myself, Zarella. And we only have 2 items on the agenda this evening. There are 3 listed. 1 is on the table and will not be taken up absent a motion. So to start with, I see that Solicitor Pusateri has just joined us. We're going to, if there are no objections, take 041 and 04220 together as they both pertain to the lease to AKS Recycling. And I would invite Solicitor Pusateri to give us some information on that. I actually don't have muting access at the moment, so I just ask the other committee members to listen respectfully.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm just pulling up those agreements right now, so 1 second, please. Can you hear me?
Oh, there we go. Excellent.
So, Mr. Chair, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay, great.
Oh, sorry. Hang on. I just got the muting access and accidentally muted everyone, including you, Vinny. You're on again.
Okay. Okay, great. So we finally were able to work out the balance of the minutia, I would say, with the AKS who have sent, and I had them actually sign the agreement so that there wouldn't be any additional, oh, wait a minute, there's one more thing, because we had gone through that. So first of all, I want to start with apologizing to the committee. My goal in getting this introduced before the final deal was done was to help the constituent move their interests along. They had some banking issues and they wanted to have agreements done as quickly as possible. The agreements are now complete. So if we wanted to look at the lease first, my goal in the preparing of these agreements, while they are somewhat lengthy, they are pulled from my continuing legal education treatise on commercial leasing. And these are the ones, anything that touches the airport land will have been, at least the skeletal form of it had been approved by the FAA. So I work off of that. But I want to provide department heads and perhaps even counselors with the summary, which is Article 1, which should be the first 2 pages of the lease. If we go through that, what we're seeing is that will be the city. This is a piece of property the city is leasing from the airport. The city is now in turn leasing it to AKS Recycling. That the lease payment is $1,200 a month, or $14,400 per year. That the area is described with some particularity here of 17.13 acres of land, and that the term of the lease is 10 years unless earlier terminated or extended, and that there are 2 5-year extensions in the referenced section. I want to confirm that last statement, please. 1 second, I'll just pull that up. 3.3. Oh, I went past it.
Take time.
Yes. 2 5-year terms, yeah. The sticking point that we had on this, Mr. Chair, and I did speak with you briefly about some of the indemnification concerns that we were having. AKS has a previous arrangement where there are certain things that they have to do to maintain this site. There was a lot of debate as about whether or not this site was in fact part of the prior landfill, and if it was, what their responsibilities were to do. So this lease maintains many of those responsibilities. It does ease up a certain amount on whether or not venting is required. Property has not been vented for over 20 years and probably much longer than that. And then the indemnification question that I think was important here, I think that you identified as being important here, what we determined to do was track or incorporate by reference Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 21E, which really is the statutory scheme of contending with hazardous waste material. It allows hazardous waste liability to be passed up the chain of title to the ultimate offender. That was what we were saying to each other. We weren't able to articulate it until we finally realized that we just simply would incorporate the terms of the statute, and that was the compromise that we reached. Therefore, if there's something that's brought to the property that was there during AKS's, or was brought to the property during AKS's tenure of ownership of the property or use of the property, I should say, then they would have responsibility for that. And if there was material that existed prior to AKS occupying the property, then that would become the city's issue. We believe that it'd be fairly easy to determine the two because there is a 2 foot, there is what we've called as a cap. AKS refuses to identify it as a cap. They claim that it doesn't qualify or meet the definition. We're not taking a position publicly on that. But in addition to that, AKS is responsible for maintaining some coverage on the property of some material. It's about, if it's 18 inches or 2 feet thick, and they're still required to do the same under this lease. So either that material will be perforated and we'll be able to see some type of leaching or disruption of that material, and that would be the cause of AKS's responsibility, or that material would not have been damaged, and that material, the offending hazardous waste, would pre-exist AKS's use. And that would be pretty easy for engineers or experts to identify. So we decided to go with that incorporation of that language for the indemnification for those reasons. So that, yes.
Before we move off that topic, just to confirm my understanding of this, even if the material itself pre-exists AKS, if they are responsible for disturbing the material, it's still their liability?
Yes, it is under a separate theory where they are would be in default of this lease or breach of the lease if they do any excavation or digging or disturbing of any of that material on the property. So yes, but for a different reason, sir.
Okay, excellent. Just making sure. Not that I anticipate any problems, but, you know, that's our job, figure out the unlikely circumstances. Sometimes we spend most of our time figuring out what's most likely not going to happen. But no, I thought it was you had brought it to my attention. I thought it was a very important point, and I was glad to get that all squared away. Excellent, thank you. Was there any, you were about to move on to another topic?
I'm happy to go to the host agreement unless your committee has some questions about.
I'm not, I see Councillor Squalia, just a moment. You can both use the chat thing, but you don't have to. There are few enough of us that I can just watch for hands. Okay, and Councillor Squalia, you have the floor.
Just clarification on what you're talking about with the cover. In 8.1, section E, it describes the cover that the tenant is responsible for, the 18 to 24 inches of materials over site. Does that, it's to be determined by the Director of Public Health? And then it notes if any of the materials are, or the cover is eroded. Is this just like a clay kind of mixture, or is there actually like some sort of plastic film, or I don't know. Do you have any idea on what that is? You mentioned being punctured.
No, Attorney Pollack was up there and was looking at the surface, but it's not. It's more accurate to think of as a clay type of or gravel type of hard packed mixture. It's certainly not a plastic lined. And so maybe puncture leaves the mind with an inaccurate picture of what it is. So no, that would be I guess what would be the right word, if it wouldn't be puncture, but if it was disrupted to the point where they broke through that 18 inches to 24 inches material and that type of disturbance was noted, then clearly we would be able to identify that as a breach of the lease, and anything happening as a result of that would become AKS's responsibility then.
Okay.
I'm sorry, in the section that you were looking at, Counselor, can you just say that again?
Article 8.1, tenant obligations under E. It says tenant at its own cost and expense shall maintain 18 inches to 24 inches of materials over the site.
Yes. The other thing that's important to know about this, I have it right here, is that our Department of Health and our Board of Health will do a site assignment, and do have a site assignment which permits this area to be used for this. And that actually will ultimately be a controlling document for them too, because in essence, it's almost like their permission to, not only do they have the authority to do, to operate under our lease here, but they also need that permission from the Board of Health too. So the site assignment is also an operative document. And when we say it by the Director of the Public Health, he certainly would be directed by the Board of Health to address those issues. And then they could change the terms of their site assignment. So in essence, the city, through our Board of Health, would be in control of the property even further, I think is what I'm trying to say, than what we've also set forth in the lease.
Thank you.
One
It's like
second.
Councilor Boschman.
Thank you. Sorry, I was just paging back over from the agreement itself. Councilor Boschman, you have the floor.
Vinny, how come we didn't have them put a rough coat of asphalt down over that, so we wouldn't have to worry about the 18 to 24 inches of them disturbing it?
I think that goes to the site assignment issue from the Board of Health. This has been something that they had determined that whatever they have there for that 18-inch to 24-inch material has been there for a long time, long prior to AKS. Winthrop Steel, I think, was there when that was originally discussed. And I don't think at this point in time we would go through the major expense to have the tenant put asphalt in there, nor do I know that that's the right thing to do, Counselor, because I'm not sure having it completely impervious material like that is the right way to handle it, because I'm not an expert in that field.
All right. Now, my other question is, I know they're going to be baling. How long are they going to keep the bales, and how many bales of trash are they going to keep on the property?
I do not know the answer to that question.
All right.
Just a moment.
All
You
right.
all set, Councilor Boschman?
What's that?
Are you all set?
Yes, sir, I am. Thank you.
All right, Councilor Squalia, you have the floor again.
So maybe Councilor Boschman is referring to the roll-off containers, because it notes storage of roll-off containers in 5.7. And we had a site plan map at one of the city property meetings, I think 3 meetings ago, that showed areas of these concerns, right, Solicitor Pusateri?
Councilor, my thinking is that the Councilor Boschman is talking about the piling of the debris. So he's talking about the areas where, and how long will a pile of debris be permitted to stay on the property? And I think that that's actually going to be controlled through the site assignment with the Board of Health. I'm not 100% sure that that's the correct answer, but that is how, when I'm with Director Curry, that's how all of these issues seem to get resolved. I can look for that drawing real. If you just give me a minute.
I feel like we discussed that with Director Curry at
I think
3 meetings ago.
So so maybe I could be wrong, but my memory was we were talking about the piling of the debris and that it encroached, and that's what was really encroaching into the conservation area, was that a lot of the debris was allowed to pile up and remain for a long time. and continue to pile, creating large piles of debris that encroached. Let me just find that drawing. Yeah, the font is so small. It would take me a second to blow this up so I can see that. But I have it over here, actually. Do you have the drawing, Counselor? I just, maybe I could refresh everyone's memory just to speak about the drawing. If we look at the AKS facility towards the left-hand side as they get closer to the airport, there's a conservation area of land that juts kind of like a corner, like a square corner into the property, and there was piling of debris there. And that was one of the major issues when we got involved with this in the first place, was to ensure that debris, the nature that Councilor Boschman was talking about, wasn't allowed to pile up and be stored in the conservation area. And that area was pushed back away from the airport line, from the river, if you will, onto this, not only the then current area, but into the new expanded area that we're leasing to AKS. The roll-off containers, I think, are off towards the landfill, and that is on the other side of the property, or the Blueberry Lane side of the property, where they're bringing the material in, the transfer station material, into a weigh house. They're weighing the vehicles, and then they're transferring the debris.
Are we all set?
Yes.
All right. Councilor Squalia, you good?
Yeah, just looking for the map.
Okay, excellent. If it's all right with both of you, then maybe we can move on to the second document and circle back to the map if it becomes available.
Sure.
All right, go ahead, Solicitor.
Yeah. So the next thing is the host agreement.
Okay.
And let me see. The host agreement. I want to make sure I have the most recent version here. I want to look at the signed copy because I don't want to work off of something that I believe is the most recent one. So just, I apologize. Just give me one more second here.
Certainly.
Thank you. Council, I know I sent that to you, so.
Yes, we do have it in the packet.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I'm looking at the same one you're looking at. Okay. Thank you. So the host agreement, I'm trying to set those up similar to the way that I did with the lease, to try to provide areas where we could focus in on as to really the larger nuts and bolts of what the agreements are. The host agreement does have the similar idea in paragraphs 4 and in paragraphs 5. Paragraph 4 will set out the fees that are being paid. Again, that's $3 per ton and $3 per truckload, depending upon the type of material, whether it's the storage of shingles, asphalt, plastic, brick, concrete, and other recyclable construction and demolition debris would be the $3 per ton, and the $3 per truckload would be the transfer station material. There are clauses to increase those fees. However, there is a safety valve that so that we won't increase those above and beyond his competitors that are in our city. And that was an important point that we wanted to have, and obviously the constituent wanted to have a level playing field. There was some issues about prior fees and encroachments and so on and so forth, and trying to make the package kind of a settlement of all issues. The company did come up and offered all the items that we have listed in paragraph 5. Okay. And so those are self-explanatory. We're going to be paying a reduced rate. We're getting a 25% discount for materials, including tires, construction, and demolition material. And then we'll have the right to bring asphalt and concrete at no charge. And then we're going to have services also for the constituents, 2 hazardous days annually. They're going to be cleaning and maintaining Airport Road and Blueberry Lane free of debris. They're going to be providing a disposal program in collaboration with the Director of Public Health for Fitchburg residents to access by permit if necessary the transfer station drop-off areas for a period of 10 years. For the disposal of MSW, I'm sorry, I don't have the acronym off the top of my head.
Municipal solid waste.
Yes, and recycling and permitted materials. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
No problem.
There'll be a price list for reduced rates for those items which will require additional fee for disposal, including but not limited to waistband items, which will be a benefit. And it will provide the residents a price list at reduced rates for those items which require additional fees for disposal for both the city and for our residents. So that was the benefits that we were having there. F, paragraph F. The city shall provide permits for residents to use so that they are identified as the residents entering the AKS facility. And so that will be something that we'll have to do in order for our constituency to get those benefits. The balance of the host agreement is substantially similar to the agreements that we've done in the past with the marijuana companies. Mm-hmm. With adjustments based upon the specific use that's involved. If there's any questions on the agreement.
Anyone? All right, seeing none, I'm going to unmute everyone. Thank you, Solicitor Pusateri. And I suppose we can move to a motion.
Make a motion, we accept.
Second.
I have a motion and second, and since I have a motion and second, well, no, I guess I'll do roll call anyway. Seems kind of silly, but Councilor Boschman.
Yes.
Councilor Squalia.
Yay.
And I am also a yes. So that passes unanimously. And we are done the agenda.
And thank you, Vinny. You did a good job.
Well, just before we adjourn, I want to thank everybody for the really cumbersome approach that I had on this one. It had been these negotiations went on for probably 2 years. And, you know, sitting here trying to put together the final document to you and not remembering everything that we talked about over the last 2 years is a little embarrassing. But at the same time, I am so happy that we have finally got this situation resolved and that he's got something actually now he can bring to his bank and he can clean up his situation. And the FAA is going to be happy with it. I mean, this is just a big thing to put in the rear view mirror. And I appreciate you guys giving me some little patience on the final hours of this thing. Thank you.
Thank you. When do we anticipate it starting?
AKS. Oh, they've already started.
I mean, for the residents, the 10-year term.
You know what? I don't know that. That's really going to be up to how quickly Steve might be able to roll that out. But I think it would be a great thing for us to contact him and let him know that that was a question. A start date is a great thing to be able to announce to our constituents. So I'll put a note into him right now.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
a lot.
you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it again.
And did we table the Ethier Street, or that's
We
still on
did.
the
That
agenda?
is-
Do we have to?
That is on the table.
on the table.
Meaning it is not directly before us until and unless a motion is made to take it off the table.
Okay, good. Motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
A second.
All right, motion and second to adjourn. If there are no objections, we are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.